Every time I knock, he can help but let me in. Must be homesick for the real.
Hey everyone, if you're new here, my name's Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be tips for good grades, or just like study tips video for college. So I am going to be a sophomore this year, or I am a sophomore. I did really well for me. I was really pleased with like all of my grades for my freshman year. I got all A's for summer term, all A's for fall, and then all A's and then 1 B in the spring. So, and the B was in science, which I'm no good at. So that was my last science class ever. So we're done with that now. So I'm just so you know, I'm not like sitting here telling you all these tips and have like C's. I'm trying to keep it real with you all, and I don't always follow all of these tips, which is probably why I got the B in science, because I kind of was just like not into it. Don't think I'm like perfect or anything. I really do need to practice what I preach as well here, but I do think these are some really good study tips if you're looking for some, and just could be really helpful for you this year, especially if you're transitioning to like a little bit of a harder university that you're not used to like the workload. Maybe these tips will help you. And it's also kind of just a different setup at college, the way like lectures are and office hours and stuff. So hopefully you'll find these tips helpful, and let's get started. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy back to school videos, and comment down below if you have any other back to school video requests. I'm gonna have a lot more coming up, and I already posted a few, so definitely check those out if you haven't already, and subscribe for more videos so you don't miss the upcoming back to school videos. Anyways, let's get started with the tips. So my first tip is really simple, but it's one that is tempting to break, especially in college, and that's just to go to class. The classes that I would be most engaged in and always be at were the ones that I showed up to, was on time, sat in the front or center. Be on time, be present, be there, listen in class. If you go to class and you listen, you don't have to study nearly as much as if you're just like teaching it to yourself. Just go to class, because one, you'll develop a relationship with your professor. 2, participation grades push you from that B+ to the A- or the A- to the A. And it just really shows you're making the effort and creating a relationship with your professors. Like by going to class, like they'll just notice you and they'll notice your name, even if it's a bigger class. Especially if you sit in the front of the bigger class, they'll see you and they'll notice if you're not there. I feel like there's this stereotype that like if you sit in the front, you're like a nerd or a dork or whatever, but like literally call me nerdy. I love sitting in the front. You're not like looking at the back of anyone's head. You just like can pay attention so much easier. It's like more pressure to make eye contact with your teacher while they're lecturing. So it's like more pressure to stay engaged and like look up at them instead of your computer. Number 2 is get to know your professor or your TA. So if it's a really big class and you have like a breakout session or a TA that is there to answer questions and stuff, get to know them, take advantage of your TAs. They're there to help you and they really want to. I would set up like last summer when I was taking biology, I had a TA and I set up like literally like tutoring sessions with my TA, and it's literally free tutoring with a person who works very closely with your professor and is going to know what's on the exam. TAs almost always have office hours, and if they don't, you can email them, make an appointment, and you can literally just sit and talk with them and get to know them, ask them questions. Just get to know your TAs, because a lot of times they're the ones grading your papers or grading your tests, and if they see that it's you, they're going to be like, oh, like this is my girl. They have like invested interest on your grade. So I think it's great to take advantage of your TAs. They're there to help you. They can write you recommendations later on. TAs are such a help, and if you have a smaller class, just get to know your professor. They're seriously there to help you. They want to help you. They want you to learn. They want you to do your best. Be friendly, talk in class so that you don't have to go to office hours for them to know who you are. Does that make sense? I hate to be like that stereotypical nerd girl, but that's how you get good, like that's how you get a good participation grade. That's how your teacher knows your name. That's when they have like invested interest on your grade, because they feel like they know you. Like, get to know your teachers, because I'm telling you, it will help you in the long run. And to go along with that, number 3 is to go to office hours. They are so helpful, you guys. Like, I can't stress this enough. I don't go nearly enough. I really should go more than I do. Office hours are literally like a study hall, and you can just go study. You can just go sit there and do your homework or study, and your teacher's there. So if you have a question, like while you're reading your textbook, you just be like, oh hey, I had a question. I don't know, teachers, a lot of them are required to have office hours, and if they don't have any work to do, they're just sitting there. So they want to help you. They want to be that resource. Developing relationships with your teachers are great for so many reasons, like later on when you need recommendations, and just like I said, they have interest. Like, they want you to do well. They want to see you thrive. So when they're grading your paper or your test, they're not going to be as harsh, because they're like, oh well, I helped her, like she's gonna do great. And then even if it's like a B paper, they may give you like a B plus because you went and talked to them and they helped you. Does that make sense? Something about college is that your grades are literally so relative. You could take the exact same class as someone else and someone could have a way better teacher and then get an A. And if you put in even like twice the amount of work as they did, but you don't have the good teacher, you'll get like a C or a B. A lot of times it has to do with your teacher. So during drop ad week, like I think almost every college has this, drop a class if the teacher is horrible and switch into a class with a better teacher, or just take it the next semester, because you do not want to get stuck in a class with a bad teacher or a strict teacher. They're literally negotiable. I don't know if you've seen Clueless, it's like, oh, these are just my grades for jumping off points. It's like my favorite thing. That was not true at all for me in high school. In college, my brother once convinced the teacher to up the percentage that the paper was worth because he wanted the test grade to be lower and the paper grade to be higher, which is valid because like papers you can work on for weeks, but tests you have to take in 30 minutes. So anyways, my brother literally negotiated that with his teacher on everyone's grade. I don't know, your participation grade is so negotiable. Writing grades are like, if you go and talk to them about your writing and then they give you a bad grade and you be like, okay, what is this? Like, I feel like I deserve a better grade than this. That's another thing, is that grades are so relative. Number 4 is be organized. If you're not organized, you're not gonna do well. Unless you've just been a mess your whole life but have somehow kept it together this whole time, like you go. But I think it's really good, especially at the beginning of the year. Take some time on the weekends and make sure like everything is organized and in its place. Like when you're going to do your homework, like just make sure that there's a place for everything and everything in its place. You don't want to be studying for your final at the end of the semester and be like, oh no, I can't find my test from September that I need. This is a cumulative final, like I need to study that. You have yours that I could study, taking pictures of it. Have yours, like don't lose it. Just be organized and it won't be a problem. Little maintenance, like just do little things every day to stay organized. Keep up with it. And it's gonna be really helpful if you don't have to dig through your whole backpack just to find one paper. Number 5 is ask questions. I touched on this before, but always be asking questions in class. Always be answering questions in class. Just be engaged and be talking, like be an active member of the class, unless they're just like sitting there lecturing where they don't really want you to ask questions, because I know that's how my science class was. That's why I hated it. I hate when you can't ask multiple questions, engage and like have a conversation about what you're learning. Like that's your biggest resource, and if you pay attention in those 50 minutes or 75 minutes you're in class, it's gonna pay off when you're studying because you're gonna remember it, instead of if you're just like sitting there on your laptop looking for stickers on Redbubble. I know I've been there, but you're going to remember it for quizzes and tests and papers later on, and just discussions when you were listening in class. So definitely just listen, ask questions. Next is make a friend in every class. So my first semester of college, I didn't really know anyone in any of my classes. There was no one like in my dorm. It was no one in my sorority. Like there really wasn't many people in any of my classes. So that made me have to make friends in every class. So what you want to do is make a group me for like all of your classes. No one else makes it first, just make one passed around the room like at the beginning of class or at the end. Probably the beginning while people are just sitting there because people want to leave at the end. Ask questions. You can say, hey, when is this due? Am I right about this? Am I doing this wrong? Does anyone like want to study together? Does anyone want to proofread, like peer at it? It's so helpful. Just have a group me because then you can all talk about the class. You can just end the group once the semester's over. You don't have to keep it. You can leave the group, end it, whatever, but just have it, or a group me or a WhatsApp. I always use group me, but apparently people use WhatsApp too. I'd like never used that before this summer, but anyways, just like a group chat with your classmates because it just makes life so much easier. I've just kind of made friends with people I sat by, because in college you have your like assigned seat. Wherever you sit for like the first probably 4 or 5 classes is where you'll sit for like the whole semester. And the last tip for good grades in college would be just to study some every day. I know this is really tempting not to do. I don't do this every day. Like I know I should, but just like make 10 flashcards for your class, or like make a study guide for what you did that day, and then just add to it every day, and then you won't have to spend 3 hours making a whole chapter study guide. You can just add a little bit to it every day. Call it homework. What I'll do is just write in my planner, instead of study, I'll say like make flashcards for what we did in class, or like do this. Like I give myself tasks as homework, because a lot of times the teachers are like, study, like prepare, like that's your homework. And so instead of just writing study in your planner and like I'm not really gonna study, like I'm just gonna write it but I'm not really gonna do it, that's me. Write out things to do. Break down your studying into manageable steps and give yourself a step to do every day, and then it's really not going to be as overwhelming when the test or final comes, or the paper or whatever, because you're gonna have so much of it already done and already learned. Those are all of my tips for good grades in college and how to prepare and how to study for your classes. I hope that was helpful. Time management is such a big thing in college, and so if you have good time management management and good study skills, I'm sure you'll do really well. So I hope you all enjoyed this video and that it was helpful to you. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already for more back to school and college and beauty and lifestyle videos, because I would love to have you join the fam. I think that's it though. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. Definitely follow me if you're not already. I'm just at Lottie Smalley. Leave a comment down below with what video you want to see next, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.